Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Mataya and I'm the Education and Outreach Manager at COVE. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some different opportunities within the marine sector and really get you to start thinking about what are some possible careers that you can get into. So first to talk about a little bit about where I am and who COVE is. So COVE is located in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, and you can see our buildings just are right here, right on the water. And COVE, it stands for the Center of Ocean Ventures and Entrepreneurship. And we're basically an innovation hub for ocean technology companies. So we have about 60 companies that are located here at COVE, and they range from startups to small, medium-sized enterprises to multinational companies that are all around the world. And basically, here at COVE, we're an ecosystem of all these companies that allows them to partner and collaborate together to really fast track things getting into the market of marine technology and really just helping us to understand what's going on within the oceans. So here at our site, we have our office spaces, but we also have a lot of workshop spaces where companies can actually create their products and create their sensors or whatever equipment that they're building. And then being right on the water is very handy because they can actually bring it right out to the water and test it out. Some even have their own vessels so they can actually go out and test out their equipment offshore as well. So what is the marine sector and what would be some different jobs that even entails? So let's think about marine sector and oceans in general. There's so many different ways that we use the ocean, and whether that's transportation or shipping in particular, or recreation even, and thinking about even our sources of food. So there's a lot of different ways we use the ocean, and it's really important that we're understanding what's going on within the ocean and making sure that we're managing it so that it's sustainable. So there's all these different parties that are involved within how we can make sure we protect the ocean. And that's from private industries, it's also researchers and education institutions and government. So all of these partners have a role to play. So marine technology in particular is really just trying to understand, manage, and utilize the ocean better. So us as humans, we can only do so much. We can't dive into the depths of the ocean and just assess all the different species that are within the ocean. So we need technology to help us really understand what's going on within the ecosystem and make sure that we maintain and protect it. So what are some different ways that you can get into the marine sector? So here at COVE, there are these five markets and these five key areas that companies fall into. So some of them might focus more on the marine defense and security. So thinking about what the role that the Navy would play, for example. So there are a lot of different roles and jobs that would be within marine defense. Some companies focus more on the renewable energy side and how we can utilize tidal energy and offshore energy and creating the infrastructure that we need to actually harness that energy. Other companies might focus more on the fisheries and aquaculture. So they might create sensors to understand what's going on with the water quality and making sure that it's safe. So all of them have their own niche and their own focus, but they're all still under that umbrella of marine technology and the marine sector. So this is just a little snapshot of some of the different companies that are here. So I mentioned there's 60 companies here at COVE, and they range from the startups, so companies that might just be creating a product to tackle lost fishing gear. So trying to find new ways of developing fishing gear. So some will be in that startup stage. Others will be global, and they might have offices all around the world. But it's also important to recognize the role of government as well and education. So you can see we have Memorial University is one of our partners. They work with us with our internship program. So there's a lot of different roles that all these different companies play. So what is the blue economy? So a little bit more of a glimpse as to some different jobs that could be available and maybe spark some different interests. So you might be interested in waste management and reducing the amount of single-use plastics or tackling how much waste might be getting into our oceans. And that can be a whole sector in itself. That is a whole area that some companies might focus on, whether it's cleaning up our oceans or understanding what is already in it and microplastics. Other companies might focus more on the climate change component and thinking of the impact of climate change on coastal erosion and our rising sea levels. So there's so many different ways that you can get into the marine sector. And it's really just about what you're interested in and what it is that you want to dive deeper into. So a couple other things that kind of fall into these different buckets. So private industry, there's jobs within shipbuilding. There's many careers within that alone. You might want to get into more of the marine transportation side of things and thinking about all the different roles that be responsible for that, whether it's being a pilot or whether it's being an engineer within the on vessels. There's so many different roles that would be required. There's also the conservation side of things as well for doing any certain restorative work. And then there's academia plays a big role in terms of the research as well and understanding what's going on within our oceans, but also how we can propel and improve our oceans. And then government plays a big role within that as well, additional research, but also some funding opportunities for other organizations to also do some of that good work. So a little snapshot of some of the careers. So this is particularly for Irving Shipyard. So this is for the AOPS ships that they build. And this is just to give you an example of some of the different careers that it would take just to build one of these ships. And we don't always think about it, but there's so many different needs and different skill sets that need to all come together to achieve the same goal. So these ships, they do need welders, they need electricians, painters, they need different engineers like mechanical, industrial, manufacturing engineers. So there's so many different backgrounds and skill sets that are needed just to put these ships together. And I think that's really important to remember, that there's so many different opportunities, whether you want to get into skilled trades or you want to be more into engineering or you want to be a researcher. There's so many different ways and opportunities within the marine world. I just want to give a little snapshot of some of the interns and the disciplines that they came from. So we have a summer internship program for post-secondary students. And this is just a snapshot from last summer of all the different disciplines that our students came from. So these students were placed at different host companies that work alongside COVE, and they all had very different backgrounds. And I think that's really great to see that you don't just have to have an engineering background or computer science, but you can have a business background as well. Or if you're really into math, and that statistics and math background is really great in the sector for data analysis and things like that. So there's so many different backgrounds and skill sets. And this is just to really broaden your mind if you're like, oh, well, I'm not really big into science, or I'm maybe a bit more into maths and I'm not so much into science or marine biology. And that's okay. There's still a lot of need within the math side as well, which is really cool. So let's dive into careers a little bit more. So there's a resource that I'm going to share with you that we'll just look at a quick snapshot together. But I really invite you to take a look at this site on your own time as well, because it has some really helpful tips and tools of really trying to figure out what type of career you might want to get into. So this website here is the Ocean Technology Council of Nova Scotia. So it is geared towards Nova Scotia, but it still gives a really great idea of some different careers available within the sector. So it's just to kind of inspire and to expose you to what might be available and some different opportunities. So let's take a look at a few of them together. So one common interest of a lot of students that might be looking into oceans is maybe marine biology. And that is definitely a really fun one if you like to be working with animals, or you want to learn more about the animals in the marine ecosystems. So this is an example here of what you would see when you go scroll over any of these jobs. You get to see the yearly income median. So this is just a median income, and the work prospects. So that's basically telling you, are there jobs available within that role? So this one says fair, and that tells you that at the moment, at least, there's not that many jobs available for a marine biologist. And that's really important to know because you're going to be going into any post-secondary school. You really want to make sure that you are getting into something that is going to be providing you with a lot of job opportunities when you're done. So marine biology might not be the one that we want to focus on because there's not too many jobs available right now. But that doesn't mean that there isn't jobs that are very similar to marine biology. So that's why it's really great to take a look at this and see what might be similar and have similar aspects of it that I might be interested in. So let's take a look. Another common one that some students think about is an oceanographer. And I go over it and similar thing, I'm not finding many jobs that are available as an oceanographer. But let's have a look and just see what it even would entail. What would an oceanographer do? So you click onto the site and it tells you a little intro of what that job would actually be. So this job, they would basically be conducting programs of exploration and research on ocean processes, focus a lot on biology and the chemical and physical characteristics. So all of them kind of embodied in one. And then it tells you a bit more specific about what you would do. So this is really helpful to really know if this would be the type of environment you want to be in, especially when you're trying to figure out, if you want to be on a boat for 3 months at a time, or would I be in an office all the time? This can give you a little bit of an idea of what that work environment might look like. And then it tells you what you might need. So this one's a great, as I mentioned here, this one says you have to be comfortable working in offshore environments. So if that doesn't maybe seem like something you would want, then maybe finding something that has similar skill sets and similar responsibilities as an oceanographer, but maybe not this job particularly. So let's take a look at something else. Okay, so we'll go back to my main deck here. And you know what? I see something that says Ocean Science Technician. I'm very curious about that. So I scroll over and it says good work prospects and median income is 50,000. Okay, seems like something I can live off of. If that seems like something you're comfortable with, and that's always good to know. Take a look and it'll tell you if there's any certain certifications required. This one doesn't. You just have to have a diploma or a trade certificate. And it tells you what you would do. So this one, you would help to create, maintain, and run oceanographic equipment and experiments. And then you would be doing a wide range of measuring and sampling equipment. So it sounds like you'd be doing some very similar things as an oceanographer, but it seems like there's a lot more opportunities within this type of role. So that's always cool to know. It tells you, again, what you need. So you need experience in technical field support in the ocean environment. So you still would need to be out on the ocean quite a bit. You have to have experience in scientific work and technical and organizational skills. And you might have some specific certifications that you might need. So maybe in diving or boat operation or software, health and safety, but that depends on the job. So, and then they also, some of them will have job postings, and these can be really great to dive into also because it might give you even deeper glimpse as to what the jobs entail and what would be involved within them. But what I want to draw your attention to as well is different career pathways. So the opportunities for secondary school are, of course, geared towards what's available here in Nova Scotia. So this options and opportunities course is basically a co-op course. So you can take any kind of co-op at school and just speaking to your teachers, try and get an opportunity closer to this. But when you're trying to figure out what courses to take in particular, one thing that's particularly helpful is when we are looking at the post-secondary education required, when you're taking a look at those, and let's say you look at the environmental engineering course at NSCC here in Nova Scotia, and maybe that's something that looks like would be a good fit for you, look at what are the requirements for that program, because that's going to be your next step, and that's going to be helping you to figure out what you need to get into, especially if you are in grade 11 and 12, and these are the courses that you should be looking into getting. or taking. But if you are younger and you're not quite ready to really decide on what post-secondary school I want to do yet, that's okay. Just maybe take a look, and some of these will tell you if there are certain skill sets that you need. So this one doesn't go into a lot of depth about that. But with a lot of these things within technicians and anything that's like similar to engineering, taking any of the sciences and maths are really great courses to take, because they'll give you a lot of that experience to understand what's going on within the oceans. And same thing, biology, geology, physics, and chemistry. So this one lists some different disciplines that you might be working in. So it's great to take a look at these. What might give you some different ideas of courses to take. Okay, so we looked at the ocean technician. Now let's take a look at maybe a different one. Let's see, what about, what else looks cool here? Oh, I see something here that looks cool, a marine electrician. What does that entail? I've heard of an electrician, but I've not heard of a marine electrician. What does that mean? Okay, so there looks like there's good work prospects for this one, and the yearly income is good. And okay, what would I need to take? It says you need a certificate or diploma. And then it goes into a little bit more detail. So what would a marine electrician do? Well, they're responsible for operation and distribution of electrical power on board, whether it's within a marine vessel and other marine devices. So we don't always think about that. Marine vessels, though, they do need electricity, just like our homes. And so there's electricians that are specifically trained to operate and administer the electrical power that's needed on those vessels. So a really cool, unique way that you can get into the marine sector that maybe you never thought about. So again, it would go in and tell you the things you can do at secondary school. Again, Nova Scotia has co-op programs, which you can take it at your own school as well. We also have an Oceans 11 course, which is basically just another science class just focused on oceans. So if you take any sciences, then you should be good. But it also, when you go into what you need, tells you should have a strong background in mathematics. So that tells me, okay, then I should keep sticking with my math, and that might help me get into this type of field. And then it tells you, again, some additional certifications. So there's no marine electrical program, at least not in Nova Scotia. But there's still, if you were to take any electrical construction or industrial certificate or an electrical technician job program, then you would still be applicable to this type of job. And again, you can take a look and see if any of those job postings look and sound like something you might be interested in. But this is one that would also be a lot more hands-on. So you can see they already say you have to have good eyesight, color vision, and hand-eye coordination are necessary. So a lot more of operating and working with tools. So a great option if you are someone that likes to do the hands-on work and you don't maybe want to sit down for long periods of time or spend your whole day in an office. Okay, and let's take a look maybe one more. So one more common one that a lot of companies need within the technology sector, marine technology sector, is engineers. And there's all engineers from computer engineer to acoustic, electrical, mechanical, so many different engineering roles that are needed. But one that's pretty unique, that's pretty cool to check out, is an ocean engineer. That's pretty cool. What is an ocean engineer, and how are they any different from the other engineering roles? So an ocean engineer is more focused as a type of civil engineer. So they do a lot of the planning, designing, and developing to manage projects and the construction of earth structures and coastal installations. So if that sounds cool to you, keep taking a look, seeing what you would need, what types of things you would do. And this one is definitely something to think about if you are really into like physics and mainly physics in school. If you're interested in that, then engineering is a really great one to get into. But this is just one type of engineering. So as I mentioned, there's mechanical, there's acoustic, there's computer engineer. There's so many different types of engineering programs you can get into. And you don't have to worry about choosing and deciding until you're in your post-secondary school. So don't worry about deciding right now. But it's cool to see all the different options. And as mentioned, so post-secondary programs, that has some different programs in Nova Scotia that's available for engineering programs. This one, again, there's no ocean engineer program, but you can take the civil engineering discipline, or you can also get into electrical and computer engineering. So a lot of different options and things to think about. Okay, so I just provided you with a lot of information, but as I mentioned, I really suggest diving into that a lot deeper, checking out that website, taking the time to go through what things might look interesting to you. And sometimes you read through something, you're like, nope, that's not for me. I absolutely would hate to be on a boat for long periods of time. And that's okay. It's good to know. So be sure to read through some of those and see if there's anything that sparks your interest. So that pretty much sums up some different ideas and things to think about for the marine sector. But I hope that you all get an opportunity to really recognize that there's a role for everybody and that everyone has so many different skill sets that are needed within the sector. So whether it's something more around business, or whether you like the engineering side, or you want to get more into the marine electrician side of things, there's so many different ways you can get involved, whether you want to do skilled trades or more research, or maybe the data side of things. So there's a lot to take a look at, and I hope you all find something that's suitable for you. So thanks so much for tuning in to STEM for Girls members. The gamification code for this session is marine electrician. So be sure to enter that in so you can gain some extra points. And please be sure to check out our website if you want to learn more about our different companies here at COVE Ocean. And be sure to connect if you have any questions. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I wish you all good luck.